So as we talk about the 2022 Formula One season and we discuss which of the teams in the midfield we think could potentially move out of the midfield or at least dominate the midfield, who do you guys think going forward? Obviously, as of now in the constructors, right before the inaugural Saudi Arabia Grand Prix here in a couple of days, we have Alpine essentially leading the midfield in position 5 here for the constructors with 137 points. We have AlphaTauri behind them at 112 points in 6th place, which is primarily all Pierre Gasly. We have Aston Martin in 7th place with 77 points. And then Williams, I don't know if people would consider Williams a midfield team now. I think probably most fans consider them below the midfield, but I think going into next year, they could be in the midfield on a regular basis or semi-regular basis, especially with Alex Albon coming on board to race alongside Nicholas Latifi. But for the most part, for the sake of this video, we'll say Alpine, AlphaTauri, and Aston Martin are the 3 major midfield teams as of now. But I think Williams will get into the mix next year. Alfa Romeo also possibly could. We have Guan Yu Zhou joining the team, and then we're going to have a veteran like Valtteri Bottas, who I'm assuming is going to be really essential in their development of the car and where they're going to be at for next year's season. So to me, the midfield is going to be exciting. This year has been one of the most exciting years of Formula One in recent memory. I think next year is going to be even better with the new regulation changes. We can assume that teams maybe that haven't done well this season could actually be in a much better spot come next season. And again, when we look at Alpine, AlphaTauri, and Aston Martin, which of those teams do you guys personally believe will end up being the team that dominates the midfield? I'm not sure if I see any of them moving up to challenge the likes of Mercedes, Red Bull, or even McLaren. It could be possible. Aston Martin obviously has new personnel, former Mercedes personnel that's going to help. AlphaTauri still seems to be on an upwards trajectory. I expect them to be better. And Alpine as well could also be on that same trajectory. That's why next season is going to be so kind of chaotic. I almost wonder if it's going to be similar to how things happen in IndyCar, but we're going to have multiple race winners across the entirety of the season and not just the traditional Lewis, Max Verstappen, maybe a George Russell in that Mercedes if he's able to get the chance. Lando Norris, hopefully he still gets his first win come next season if it obviously doesn't happen here. But midfield's going to be crazy next year, guys. We really don't know who is going to be there and who may not. Maybe some teams could actually revert and kind of digress. I find that hard to believe. I think the field is naturally going to be more competitive, obviously, with the regulation changes. So I'm not sure if we're going to have a definitive midfield like we do this year. I think more teams are kind of going to blend in, exchange positions, and hopefully the constructors itself is even more competitive next season. I think the only team that unfortunately will probably stay where they are is the Haas Formula One team, and I will do a separate video talking about them and their future in the sport. But outside of Haas, I think every other team, as far as Alfa Romeo, Williams, Aston Martin, AlphaTauri, and Alpine, I think they all have a chance to move up or down depending on how next year goes. I could see them all making improvements in some way, and kind of depending on the circuits that we go to, I could see those teams exchanging different positions and places as far as the end of race results. So comment section below, who you guys think will be the best midfield team in 2022? If I left out any other details for you, feel free, I should say, to drop those in the comment section below. As far as who I personally think, before we go ahead and close out this video, I really do like most of the teams. I want to see Williams do well. I want to see them obviously return back to glory at some point. That would be great as a longtime fan of the sport. AlphaTauri, I think because Pierre has been doing such a great job, I think Yuki is going to continue to improve. It would be awesome to see them be the best of the midfield. I mean, they're right there. Alpine, obviously, with that Esteban Ocon win, and now Fernando Alonso's podium has really allowed them to gain the advantage. But I think AlphaTauri was there, and keep in mind that's strictly just with Pierre getting the team the points. If Yuki was also finishing in the top 10 on a more regular basis, then of course AlphaTauri would be the fifth best team on the grid currently. So I could see them possibly being the best of the midfield teams. We don't know. Maybe Aston Martin will kind of get back to those Racing Point days from the 2020 season and before. We'll have to wait and see. Alpine, I think, is going to continue to improve. I think Fernando's going to be even better next year, possibly with the regulations. Everybody's kind of going to be on the same playing field. We'll see how each driver adapts to the regulations and the new cars. But realistically, honestly, any team has a chance, but I could see AlphaTauri doing better as long as Yuki is able to keep up and provide the consistency that they need in their race results. You guys let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. She'll take it from there. If you're new, make sure to subscribe to the channel for weekly Formula One discussion content. I appreciate all the support you guys have shown on the channel. Unfortunately, that is all the time I have for you all today, but I will see you all later. Goodbye.